The following is a presentation of the Tragically Hip podcast series.
Okay, we are officially into uncharted waters. We never do third ones. So let's see what happens.
Yer Hipstories, reflections from the final tour.
Hey, it's JD here, and welcome to Yer Hipstories, reflections from the final tour. Today is August 5th, 2026, but we are going back in time 10 years to talk all about the Winnipeg show on the Man Machine Poem Tour. I have got a fantastic panel of guests who were there in the flesh, and they are here to reveal all. So this could get heavy. Get yourself a drink, grab some tissues, and settle in. Nicole from Winnipeg, how are you doing this evening?
I am so excited to be here. This is really thrilling.
We're excited to have you. This is going to be a good time.
Very good.
Kim from Cambridge, how is it going on this hiptastic day?
It is well. This is a special one, so I'm excited to be a part of this.
Beautiful. You know, I'm finding that these really were pretty fucking special, huh? Wow. And we've got our friend Dave from Montreal joining us this week.
Hey, brother.
How's it going?
It's great. I'm honored to be able to talk about this show. Of the 7 I went to, this one meant the most.
Wow, I can't wait to dig into that. Alicia from Winnipeg, how are you doing tonight?
Good evening, JD. How are you today?
I'm great. Thanks for asking. Yeah, I think we're ready to sort of kick this into gear. What do you say?
Let's
Get behind
do
the
it.
wheel and let's drive.
Let's do it.
So let's start at the start with a bit of an icebreaker, and I'll start with you, Kim from Cambridge. What is a song that you hear now that instantly takes you back to August 5th, 2016, that night in Winnipeg?
Pigeon camera.
Tell me about that.
I don't hear that song played live a lot. I've been to 41 hip shows in total. And so it wasn't one that got a lot of play at shows. And I remember when they started, I was just so pumped because it's definitely in the top of my list, amongst others, depending on the day, of course.
Right.
But Pigeon Camera was a pretty special one. And there's another one that stands out, but I'll share that story a little later.
Okay, cool. Well, Pigeon Camera is a deeper cut. So yeah, I hear you. Alicia from Winnipeg, how about you?
You know, it's for Winnipeggers. Well, for myself, it's got to be at the 100th Meridian. And while we're not exactly at the 100th Meridian, we're pretty darn close. And so whenever, and it was the opener, you know, it was those first few notes. And so whenever that song comes on the radio, which it does frequently here, and, you know, Winnipeg's many, many hard rock radio stations, that's immediately what I think of is that night.
Oh, beautiful. Dave, how about you?
It's membership.
Membership.
It's membership for me. That was the night that I remember hearing membership on the first night of the U.S. Phantom Power Tour at the Wetlands Preserve in New York, and almost groaning because I thought, oh, why are they wasting space by playing this filler? And it never did it for me until Winnipeg, when I went, oh, I get it. And it was just this lifelong wait to finally get that song. And in that moment, hearing them sing about their lifelong membership, it was everything, man. It was everything I had been waiting for. I was so happy to have gotten that moment, to have it come full circle and hear what was probably the last ever membership played. And I'm just so thankful that I got that under my belt.
Such
Damn. Another deep one.
Mm-hmm.
It was a big night.
Nicole.
I love membership, Dave. And you know what? Not a lot of people know it. And my favorite line in that is now the springtime, now the house flies. And every time I see a house fly, I sing that song.
Bring on the butterscotch.
Yeah, mine was Boots and Hearts, and there is definitely a very long, not a long, but an old story about that. But that one was for me was Boots and Hearts when that hit. And then there's never a time that you don't hear Little Bones that you just don't want to rock and roll and party. So,
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. And you guys had a killer set list. We'll take a look at that set list in a bit and, dissect it because you guys got a killer set list. Mm-hmm. Nicole, we'll stick with you. I want to hear about your experience finding out about the tour and getting your tickets. What did that look like on your end?
So after listening to the Vancouver shows, I'm like, I had a friend in Winnipeg that called in a favor and got me 4 tickets. So I'd had no effort, ease, no problems. I'm not a story for the tickets. When I found out that he was so ill, it was earth shattering to me. It had been a really long time since I'd seen him. Since I'd seen the band. So I'm in Winnipeg now, but I only moved here 6 years ago. I lived my whole life in Thunder Bay, Ontario. So little lovely Thunder Bay, Fort William Gardens, banging against the wall. I went to Lakehead University and they would play Lakehead before they'd come to U of M, right? You're 6 and 7 hours away kind of thing. And I just always thought we had more time. I always thought we had more time. And the last time I saw them, I had 3 little kids and I live in the middle of Northwestern Ontario and they didn't really come to Thunder Bay anymore. And I stopped getting to see them, but I always thought I had more time. And hearing that, I immediately knew that I needed to go. So I raised my children on this music. And I have 3 daughters that are 33, 29 and 27. And the Boots and Hearts is so meaningful to me because I remember looking over my shoulder at my 2-year-old in her car seat and she's going, fingers and toes, fingers and toes. I'm like, I am such a good Canadian mom. Like I'm the best Canadian mom ever. And it's been the soundtrack of all of our lives. And my 2 younger ones, like it's on their phones, their playlists. We listen to it all the time. And I knew they needed to see them because they'd never seen them. They'd never seen them live. And so I grabbed these tickets and jumped in the car with my then 17-year-old and 19-year-old. You want to take a 17-year-old cranky girl on a road trip across Northwestern Ontario, I don't recommend it. I knew they needed to see them. And it was super important to me that I got to share this thing that was so vital in my life. And really, quite honestly, is still so pivotal and so important in my life, even 10 years later. It's a little bit crazy. So that was sort of I gotta go. They've got to see this. And I've heard other people now on the podcast talk about bringing their children and how important it was to share that. And it really was incredibly meaningful.
Yeah, it sounds that way. What did they think? I've got to ask, what did they think that night?
So I was grilling them both yesterday because they were over. 2 of them live here. 1 lives in Toronto. So she wasn't part of that. But, and I'm like, okay, like, tell me your memories. Like, what were you thought? And just like, Alicia, what you said about those first few notes of 100th Meridian, we were in the causeway because of course we were late and I'm trying to get them to move it. And the 17-year-old's giving me guff. And all of a sudden she heard those first opening and immediately like, get me in my seat and get me in front of this. And like, so I flipped back in my Facebook and I looked at the pictures from that night. Oh, okay. I told you this was a cryy one. I'm going to be a crier.
All of us, Nicole, you're not alone.
And she said to me exactly that last night. She said, I just remember being so pissy and then that happening and I was dialed in and I got it, Mom. I looked at you and I was like, I got it. Like, I got it. I understand this lifelong love of yours for this. And my little bit older
that
daughter,
is great.
she doesn't really talk. She just cries a lot. And we were just at a tribute show for them 2 weeks ago. And there's pictures from the band that were showing us because we were right at the stage, both of us just crying and singing. And so they loved it. Like it really was. It was incredible. It was worth the 16-hour drive. It was worth it all.
Oh, that's great. Kim, let's hear your story. How does your tale compare?
Well, at the time I was rowing, so I was up early in the morning before work, getting in a row with my friend on the river, and I had Map My Fitness at the time. That was, we're going back 10 years ago, to record my row. So as soon as I got off the river, I went to turn it off, and the notification had come through, and I can't even describe that moment. It just, my heart stopped, and it was like, are you kidding me? I remember my friend was with me, and she's a Hip fan too, but it just didn't kind of hit her the same way. And I couldn't even take my boat back up. Like it was a moment. And then I just knew that I had to be a part of this tour. I've seen them on every tour that I possibly could at any point in my life. And this one, I had to be there one way or another. So when I heard that everyone in BC was having such a hard time getting tickets and the whole debacle and, click all of the "you are a bicycle" pictures and things like that and not getting tickets, I had a brilliant idea that if I here in Ontario tried to get tickets to the Winnipeg show that go on sale an hour before the Ontario ones, that might be my window into the show. I was desperate because I was so scared that I wouldn't get a show in Ontario. I did, but that's a story for another day. So road trip off to Winnipeg, I went.
You drove farther than I did, so yeah.
Yeah, I camped. I took my cousin along for the ride. I just bought a Jeep, so we camped our way out. We stopped at Pancake Bay and Sleeping Giant. And did
so pretty.
Oh, that's great.
Giant and stuff. So
yeah,
it was quite the trip out. I have an awesome story about the night before the show that I can share shortly as well.
We'll get into that for sure. Mm-hmm. Alicia, let's hear your tale.
So, I heard it probably faster than most because I'm a journalist, and at the time I was the editor at Metro Winnipeg here, and so I got breaking news immediately. So whether it's through Twitter or an email, and I just remember my heart stopping, like just. I understand what you mean, Nicole, when you're just like, you thought you had more time. And so, but because I was a journalist and because I have reviewed the Tragically Hip several times as a journalist, both here in Kelowna, where I used to live. And so I knew, like, I didn't have to struggle for tickets because I knew I could get my hands on a review ticket. So I knew I was going to the show no matter what. I did not have to wait in line. I did not have to click refresh 1,000 times. I did not have to pay $1,000 to a scalper. The bad thing about it, of course, was that usually when you do a review, you get 2 tickets, but they were only giving 1 because the demand was so high. So I went by myself. And I'm sitting with other reviewers and we're all scribbling notes. So, it was hard to fathom that this was going to be the last show that I would ever see them live. And but I also count myself incredibly privileged and lucky to be able to go because 800,000 people did not get that chance.
That's absolutely, yeah. Dave?
JD, I just sat here crying through everybody else's answer, so I don't know if I'm ready to do mine yet. But let's see what we can do.
Take a moment.
Oh no, one thing that Mr. Downey has instilled in me is that it's okay to own your emotions. That's one of the great takeaways from all this.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So we'll take a deep breath, and and if we need to pause, we'll pause. But yeah, this was an earth-shattering moment. I was on vacation. I was in Greece. I was on a beach on the island of Crete. It had just turned noon in Greece, and my ex-girlfriend and I, because it was noon and because we were on vacation, thought that it was a perfect time to start drinking. And Natalie sauntered off to the beach bar, and I thought that'd be a great opportunity for me to check my email. And it was noon in Greece and 6 o'clock in the morning in Canada. And the email came in from the Hip. And I can tell you that what she told me in that moment was that she thought my father died.
Oh.
From afar, she thought that my father had died. The lead I'm burying here is that this was not long after the death of my mother. And the Winnipeg concert, in fact, was on the 1-year anniversary of my mom's passing.
Oh.
So all of this is just layers upon layers of grief and wishing that there was more time. I was back in London a week after that. After a week of being on, that was day 2 of the vacation. So good luck pretending that everything's okay. There are a lot of pictures of me the next day in Santorini wearing a World Container t-shirt trying to smile. Just trying to smile and pretend pretending to silo something that could not be siloed.
No chance.
Back in London a week later, and then that ticket madness just started. And the way I saw it was I was going to try to go to every show. That was my bar. I'm not going to discriminate. I'm going to just try and get tickets for as many as I can. If there's an on sale time in Winnipeg and then an hour later it's in Hamilton, I'm going to be on it. And I'm going to borrow a couple of computers and I'm going to have my phone out. And I heard the guys on the Victoria episode, which was brilliant, talking about how they
just lost you.
Refresh. Am I back?
You're back.
Okay. I said I spent 8 hours one day hitting that first day, hitting refresh and refresh and refresh. And it happened. And I ended up with 7 pairs of tickets. I ended up with 6 pairs of tickets, and a massive, massive favor was called in, and we got tickets for Kingston as well. But the other 6 shows was all grit. Just pure fucking luck. And
will and determination.
But for the will and determination, I had upper deck tickets in Winnipeg, and when I landed from Calgary, I was at Calgary too. And I'll tell you, the flight from Calgary to Winnipeg was amazing. It was all Hip fans. And it was a WestJet flight from Calgary to Winnipeg, and there were so many Hip fans on it that there was an announcement on the intercom from the pilot. And if I remember correctly, there were hip, hip, hips on the plane. And it was so wonderful for a kid from Quebec who, the Hip were my link to Canada in so many ways. I was a child, 15 years old when the referendum happened, and that was, Gay for Night was playing on the radio, and the referendum was happening, and my parents were deciding where we were going to live if Quebec separated, and the Hip were my link to the rest of the country. So feeling that in Calgary, and feeling that in Winnipeg, and feeling that throughout Ontario was really special. But being in Winnipeg that night, we land, and there was a message, a tweet from the Hip saying that some seats beside the stage had just come up, available at the box office. So we cabbed straight from the airport to the box office, got in line, and ended up with tickets right beside the stage, in the second beside the stage, and then just put the other pair up on StubHub for face value. And honestly, I did that a few more times that tour. I did that in Hamilton. I did that in Ottawa. I was able to trade up the day of because tickets always were available the day of the show. I'm happy to tell everybody now, 10 years later, I wasn't sharing that secret at the time.
Come on, Dave. Kim, tell us a little bit about the day leading up to the show. You get up in the morning, and here it is. It's time. It's go time. Winnipeg.
Well, for me, the excitement actually started the night before. I was, like I said, drove out from Ontario and was staying in a hotel in Winnipeg. And I was in the bar having.
Were you at the Delta?
I was staying in the same hotel as the Hip were.
Yeah, and the same as me then too, Kim. We were at the Fairmont.
So when I went into the bar earlier in the day, the waiter let it slip that I should come back later, which I did. And there was basically, it was just the Hip and their crew and a couple of other random people off to the side that I don't even think realize.
You guys were at the same party.
We were there, Kim. We were there together.
I was sitting in that room. I ran up the bar tab over $100. I just could not get up the nerve. My cousin was ribbing me like you wouldn't believe. He's like, you know, you've been to all these shows. You've seen them, 30 odd times. You've never actually got to meet them. Here's your chance. They're like 10 feet away. Why aren't you doing this? It just felt different, and it felt disrespectful to jump in. So the four members, Downey was not with them. It was the other four members, and their family and friends and stuff. And so it just didn't feel right to approach, even though they were right there. So I kind of got up some nerve after, like I said, a bit of a bar tab and feeling no pain. My cousin said he had enough waiting for me to make my move, and he went outside for a smoke and ended up having a chat with Paul. I went out and basically accosted poor Rob coming out of the bathroom. He was very gracious. I've always absolutely adored Rob. I could watch him play like all day long. So that was a big moment for me. And then when I went back into the bar, Gord Downey's bus driver, and I totally forget his name right now off the top of my head. Anyway, he sat down and had a drink with me, and we were chatting, and then he took me over and introduced me to Gord Sinclair,
Awesome.
whose son then took pictures for us, and it was a whole cool thing. Bernie Breen ended up giving us a couple guitar picks and stuff, which I've framed on my tour poster from Winnipeg with my tickets.
Oh, awesome.
So that was my first real interaction there where I actually got to speak to and interact with the boys. So it was a big deal for me.
Yeah, that is a big deal. Holy shit. Alicia, how about you for leading up to or the day of the event? What were you thinking and feeling that day?
Mostly for me, it was about how do you review this concert? Like how do you even, because I had to put a star rating. Like how do you, knowing that this is this is the last time, this is goodbye. Like how do you even, and in the end, I remember I literally, when I had finished writing it frantically after the show and posting it, and I said infinite stars out of 5, because you can't, there's
beautiful.
You can't, there's no way to do it, whether you're a Hip fan or not. Not that I think anybody isn't a Hip fan, because that seems impossible to my brain, but
I have a story.
yeah, everyone has a story. So that was kind of what was going through my head the whole time, was like, how do I write this in a way, first of all, that feels true to myself and true to the Hip, and honors them in a way that I feel is appropriate without me blabbing and crying all over the newsprint, right? So I spent a lot of time mostly just nervous about how I was going to write it, because I was speaking for a lot of Winnipeggers and putting it in print.
Yeah, that's a little bit of pressure.
Just a wee bit. And I did notice that one of the other reviewers at the Winnipeg Free Press basically did the same thing. Like, no stars, because it's impossible. You can't do it.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah.
Nicole, what was your day like, or days like, leading up to August
Alicia,
5th?
I love infinite stars out of 5. I wrote that down.
Yeah.
That might be a tattoo. That might be a tattoo.
I'll send you the link.
Please.
The day, we got up pretty early in the morning and drove the 8 hours from Thunder Bay to Winnipeg, and we were staying at the Delta, which is right in the middle of the heart of Winnipeg downtown. And Winnipeg summers are nice and hot, and they have a rooftop pool. So the entire hotel was full of people going to the concert. My slightly underage one daughter and the other, and we went up to the rooftop pool and had a few cocktails in the sunshine because there was still some time. The rooftop pool was full. It was full of people, and they were all there for the concert. And one of the things that I thought was amazing was there was tons and tons of Americans, and I met so many people that, because we never think of them as really hitting that big. Like, we know there's pockets of love, right? Mm-hmm. But there were so many people there that had come from the States, that had traveled and followed them and gone to maybe not as many shows as Kim, but lots and lots of shows, and really were just there, and they had tons of stories to tell us about them, and I remember the time when, and it was just this beautiful sort of love fest beforehand. So nice. Like it really did sort of prime us for, like, as each thing happened. And of course, on that 8-hour drive, we're listening to your favorites and we're listening to everything. And it really just kept building. The excitement just kept building and building and building towards this inevitability. I wasn't thinking at that time about the end. I was just thinking, they're going to see him and it's going to be so amazing and it's so fun and we're having such a great time. And, the mom-daughter thing, it's just awesome. And so all of those things. And so getting there and getting in, and once that music started, and that is when I went, I'm never going to see this again. And that was sort of when my ridiculous sobbing started and really didn't stop. I was a snotty mess. It was terrible. But it was a perfect day. And it was hot and gorgeous, that perfect Winnipeg summer night. And
it really was. Yeah,
it was electric. It was electric. Yep.
Oh, man. If only I had done what Dave did and went to a whole whack of shows.
It wasn't enough, JD. It wasn't enough.
I'm loving hearing these stories. I'm loving it.
I went to so many shows because I had to. There was no choice in the matter. The ones I didn't go to, I watched on Periscope.
Mm-hmm. Right. Periscope was huge. Right?
Thank God for Periscope. That doesn't exist today.
No.
I tried.
I watched those Edmonton shows on my balcony on Periscope.
I watched the early shows. And I tried to give back to the community that night, and I thought, okay, I'll let people see, because it meant a lot to me to watch, the Victoria and Vancouver. But once they started picking up on Springtime in Vienna, I could not keep still. I just could not. And so people were commenting, like, keep the camera still. You're giving it. I'm like, I'm sorry. I can't. I have to end the stream because I can't sit here and hold this still. The music was just such an intense moment. And that moment when Springtime breaks in and just, there's no way you can sit still. So I had to end my stream. So I had to apologize to everyone. I'm like, I'm sorry, I tried. I wanted to give back, but no, I can't. I have to go.
Damn straight.
My dog has an issue with that too.
I see that. JD, I've been working on writing a lot about the hip lately, and more on that later, but I'll read you just a little thing about the lead up to the show that I pulled up for today. We're walking into the hotel, and Johnny and Paul walk out. I say hi. I introduce them to my ex, and I say to Paul, the set lists have been great so far. And Paul tells me they have a formula allowing them to play through as much of the catalog as possible. And at that point, I tell him that I have never heard Three Pistols in my 65 hip concerts. I've been to shows where you play it the night before and the night after, but it's been my white whale since the 1990s. Paul says to me, "You're going to how many more?" And I say, "Tonight," and then I miss London and the first in Toronto, and then Amy, my sister, and I go to the final 5 of the tour. And I'm careful to say of the tour and not the last shows ever. I think I do it as much for me as for them. Besides watching Gord the other night, you'd think that he's kicking brain cancer's ass and they'll tour forever. Maybe they'll book Montreal after all. I can promise you're going to hear it, Paul tells me. The after show's at the hotel bar tonight. We'll see you guys later.
Wow.
So my time in Winnipeg was very short. I think I arrived at 3:00 in the afternoon and I was gone by noon the next day. My time in Winnipeg was spent at the MTS Centre, picking up those tickets. I think I went for a drink around the corner, and I crossed Portage and Main to buy a pack of smokes at one point, just to say that I crossed Portage and Main. What a needlessly complicated corner to cross. Wow.
It's not like that anymore. It's
not like that anymore.
Okay, good. All right. Well, when I come back, we'll be sure to check on that.
Yes.
And then the show was just, we'll talk about the show, but it was getting to be with them after the show in that after party, and Gord was there. Downey was there at the after party that night, and I decided not to talk to him. I had such a wonderful last time talking to Gord Downey that I didn't want to do anything to screw that up. My final moment with Gord was on their tour bus a year before in Quebec City. And they had just played the Festival d'été de Québec, and Johnny and Paul and my sister and I had gone for beers, and they had to get the bus because it was like 2:30 in the morning. They had to leave, and they invited us on, and I had this beautiful few minutes with Gord that I'll never forget. And I knew it would never be as good as that, so I didn't want to top it. But definitely had some smokes with Paul, and Mark Kelly from the CBC was there that night, and I'd stood with him in line at a Springsteen show in the Pit in Toronto about 5 or 6 years before that, and he remembered me. I'm a Montreal journalist, Alicia, so I know the feeling of trying to write about this critically when it's so close to your heart and how impossible that is.
It is.
It's impossible. It's also exceptionally rewarding to have that opportunity and to be the person who is read in those moments. I so look forward to reading your review from that night, and I hope you guys can read what I've written about this tour as well. I posted something on the Facebook page this week. I had written a piece for the National Post a couple of days before the tour started.
Nice.
And it was just my love letter. It was really just me hoping that Gord would read something that I wrote.
It was really good. It was really, really good.
So I can put them in the show notes, or also follow Dave's lead and post it in the group. That would be cool.
It was really good, Dave.
Thank you very much, Nicole.
I read it
That's
yesterday.
really sweet of you.
It really spoke to me. Yeah.
Thank you. It was an honor to get to write it, and it was an amazing thing to have people reach out to me and tell me that they hung it on their wall, or that it spoke not just to them but spoke for them. What an honor.
Oh, beautiful.
Well, folks, what do you say we open this can up and take a look at the contents inside? I've mentioned it a couple times. You guys got a really great set list.
Yeah.
And I want to pull it up for us right now. There we go.
Pigeon camera. Like, what the heck? I've never, so many of these, I have not had the luxury of as many shows as some of you. And so many of these I'd never got to see live until that night. It was so fantastic.
How about Wheat Kings as like song 4 of the night? Like,
of course.
Like everybody's a puddle. We're 20 minutes in and everybody's a puddle. Yeah. It's unbelievable.
Exactly.
and things like the songs really, to me, they really hit different. Like Tired as Fuck, I'm like, you must be tired as fuck. Like you must be exhausted. I bet you, and when you probably didn't write it thinking that one day I'm going to be like exhausted, and Escape at Hand, like he didn't write that song about the last time anybody would see him. He wrote that song about the last time he would see somebody else. Like, it was killer. It was just killer. Yeah.
What Blue is one of those that came and went, but there are moments in that song that really stood out live. I'm so happy that they got to tour that album, and that this wasn't the greatest hits, and that album there was so much weight at the time that it made it impossible for me to understand that album or appreciate it, and not just hear it as he's dying, they're done. Thank God for some time in between that's allowed it to breathe and evolve. And I know not everybody agrees, but Great Soul is a classic. I think Insarnia is perfect. And I'm sitting here and I'm staring at this. Me too. And I'm staring at this set list that's on our screen right now. And I just keep looking at what Blue, and I just have in my head, I love you so much it distorts my life. What drove and drives you drove and drives me too. Just beautiful. just beautiful. And that's their coda. I mean, I know we have Saskadelphia, and I know we have all of these additional things, and my God, they just released that. They keep releasing songs from that final album, and that Locked in the Trunk of the Car in Kingston is the greatest version of that song ever. I remember thinking it at the moment that he went up a key, and I've been waiting to go up that key my whole life, and he finally did it at the final time that they sang that song. But back to here, what a show. What a show, and what a crowd. And they talked about it that night. They talked about how Winnipeg was this place that they kept going back to and building a crowd and building an audience. And he said that same shtick that he said the whole way through, but it still was new back then when he was saying, we first came here and there were 3 people, and then we came and there were 6, and then we came and there were 2, and then we came and there were 11. And it's you could tell that they mentioned a music writer. They mentioned a reviewer. There you go. How he was he there that night?
He was, and I texted him immediately because he's a friend of mine, and I'm sure his phone exploded when Gord mentioned him. But all he did was tweet out, "I have no words." I was stunned that Gord even remembered.
That was a moment. I mean, we're 10 years on from that, and that was a moment.
That was one of my top moments of the night. Just for
Can you
John,
expand on it for anybody who wasn't there?
Sorry?
Can you expand on it for anyone who wasn't there?
Like, I presume, in every concert, Gord would thank, the people in the city who helped make the Hip who they are.
Absolutely not. He did not. It was unique. It was unique to there. They did it in Hamilton, but there was no let's thank the staff at the Horseshoe Tavern at the ACC shows.
Wow.
It was really it was a special moment.
It really was, and it's more special than I thought because for him to he mentioned several people, but Kendall sticks out in my mind, and Kendall had been such a supporter of them, and basically, as far as I can tell, basically introduced Winnipeg to the Hip. For them to just for Gord to say that is probably a defining moment in John's life. Like, I can't even imagine having Gord Downey on stage saying thank you to John Kendall and all the people who helped us. And you're just like, and everyone who knew him.
And even those of us who didn't.
Exactly. Everyone who knew him made his phone explode. Everyone was tweeting at him. Everyone was sending him messages, probably trying to call, and he was there that night,
Kim, you had mentioned earlier on there was a second song that you had a story about. You had mentioned Pigeon Camera.
Well,
I don't think you've told us the second song yet.
It was Springtime with the Periscope.
Springtime with the Periscope. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, that's okay. But another
an encore though. Springtime and then Ahead by a Century.
Yeah. Yeah, but Opiated also. I remember when they pulled that one out that night. I hadn't heard that one in quite some time, so I was pretty excited to hear that one that night.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Boots Are Hearts, Opiated, New Orleans, followed by Springtime in Vienna and Ahead by a Century for those of you who are listening to the podcast and cannot see. Also, the record that you guys got that night was Now for Plan A.
Yeah.
And I'm curious what your thoughts were on getting to hear some of those cuts live, because a lot of us who hadn't seen them as much in the 2000s and later missed these tours and never got to see these songs perform live until the final tour in some cases. So, Nicole, where were you in terms of the set list and specifically about Now for Plan A songs?
I was torn. I hope I don't get flack for this, but
no, it's good to be
there was so much of it, like Phantom Power. I was training for a half marathon one year, and you remember back when you used to have a Discman?
Of course, yeah.
And it was like running around with a hubcap, and your anti-shock. And so I ran with Phantom Power. So I ran for like 5 months with only Phantom Power. I listened to that back to front. So it's not a surprise. There's only this many tracks on the record. There's a comedian, Gary Gulman, that does an amazing Discman. If you ever get a chance to listen to it, it's incredible. So that I had never seen them tour because I was having all these babies. I'd never gone out and seen them tour. So listening to the Phantom Power songs was super important for me. The new ones from Man Machine Poem, I didn't know them. I didn't know them at all. Why I wasn't thrilled that they were in the playlist was because those were not the songs that I'd raised my kids on. And I wanted them to be able to sing the words to every song because that's how it feels when you're there. You just want your soul to be screaming. And there was a lull for them for that period of time where they were certainly enjoying the music and the atmosphere. And it can't all be for them. Like there's a piece for every person at that concert. But I did wish, God, I wish there was, just a little bit more of what they knew, would have loved a Cordelia, like that's my husband's favorite song. I would have loved a Cordelia.
You did get 5 from Road Apples, though. That's a pretty big deal.
Yeah, there's lots. But yeah, I see what you think.
And I'm pretty sure they didn't play Cordelia on the tour either.
No, I don't think they did.
No,
Not that I saw, but I don't know it as well as you guys do. So that was where I was. I was a little bit back and forth on it. I might have been somebody that would have been happy with your favorites.
Kim, how about you? Did you get out to any of the Nafra Plan A shows?
Yeah, I did. It's not my favorite album, I'll be honest. But my favorite song on the album wasn't played that night. So when they came out with Streets Ahead, I'm like, okay, we want to be it. Let's hear it. Like, and when we were touring and trying that song out before the album, it was like drip, drip, drip is what it was referred to as. So that was the one that I really loved off that album. But they didn't play it that night. So that's okay. It's all good though.
How about you, Dave?
I was thrilled. I went to so many shows on that tour, and when hearing that 4 spot of songs brought me back to small clubs in upstate New York. It brought me to like little bars in Vermont, places where it was after the hip had reached their commercial peak, but it was for those who were in the club. It was when you could get the closest to them to appreciate their music. And there was something really special about having that front row on those albums and being there for that, and knowing that it wasn't resonating with everybody, but that if you could just dig a little deep and maybe try to figure out what they're getting to, you're going to really get something out of it. And knowing that the majority of that album was written as Gord's ex-wife was fighting cancer, that I want to help you lift enormous things was in reference to wanting to help her beat cancer. It definitely, there was an unintended resonance there. And I'm pretty sure that much like most of the rest of this show, I sobbed through those 4 songs.
How about you, Alicia?
I was happy to get anything kind of new because, well, again, I haven't gone to as many shows as others. I had seen several. And so the chance to get songs that I personally hadn't seen performed, and to dig into their back catalog just a little bit, because especially when they would go on tour, like the Fully Completely tour, and, they play the album and then a few other, to me, it was always neat to get those deep cuts. I understand why fans would want kind of your favorites, but for me personally, I was happy to get something a little bit different this time. And I mean, and I was happy too because Phantom Power is my favorite album, and so to get Poets and Bob Cajun was a highlight for me. And so I got a little bit of both. I got some new stuff and 2 of my favorites. So I count myself extremely lucky. But I also understand where others are like, I wish that we could have had a little more of
Day for Night.
I get
You
it.
guys got nothing from Day for Night, did you?
No.
Oh, no Day for Night. Yeah. Yeah.
But they did it the night before.
There's one record that is sort of sacrificed, one sort of key record that is sacrificed almost every night.
But they didn't look at it that way. They didn't look at it that way, and
awesome.
there's something really cool about that.
Well, they shouldn't have looked at it that way.
Right.
Like, I
right.
love that they went out saying. I mean, they took probably as many songs on the road as they'd ever taken out on the road.
Oh,
before.
100%. There was a stat from the Toronto, the three in Toronto. I used to have this memorized. I think it was 71 songs in total over the 3 nights, and 49 of them were different.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I think I've heard
It
72 songs is what they took on the road, which is...
I mean, it speaks to the depth of that catalog, right? Like,
Yes.
Man. And there's stuff that didn't get played. There's stuff that, I mean...
songs that didn't get played.
Yeah.
I know, it's so true.
I've often wondered, I've often thought that if I had the opportunity to sit down and go deep with Paul, I'd ask what songs they didn't play intentionally. Like if there was anything that
mentioned already.
Which one?
Cordelia.
Oh no, but I don't know if that was an intentional.
Why?
Like why? Like yeah.
Apparently, Gord really struggled with the lyrics for that one, even when everything was going really well.
Okay.
So that's one that they didn't. He wasn't comfortable performing live. Apparently, this is through my journey on this. I get to hear people tell me.
Of course.
Some of them may be true, and some of them may not be. So here I am spreading.
Can I mention something? Because this was one of my realizations early in the tour, and this was my second show of the tour, was that we weren't getting rants. We weren't getting off the cuff, whether it's
and
no QRL thing here.
No, that hadn't been for so long, and I think that the thing that did me in or did my head in about it was, A, this has always been a part of it. B, he's leaning on the teleprompter now, and of course he has to. I mean, you know, but it was that was always the workshopping for whatever came next. And I think I just had this moment of heartbreak of, oh, he's not workshopping because there's nothing coming next. And that was really hard for me.
Yeah.
oh,
Sorry,
Dave.
Sorry.
yeah.
Deep
Way
breath.
to go, Dave.
Yeah. Sorry.
Talking the truth and bringing us down.
Yeah. Well, listen, but it's not bringing you down. Well, I may be bringing you down, but
it's bringing it all up, and it's good.
It's catharsis and
it is
meiosis.
Yeah.
Flash.
Yeah. Exactly.
This
Adolescence in essence.
All about
this
trust.
This week of listening to those other podcasts, and I was saying to JD that, you know, I was going back into my Facebook as far as I could, and I was looking at posts, and that's where I read yours. There was another guy, Joe Foley, had put up something at the time that I read, and I'm like, oh my God, that resonates so much with me, and there's so much 10 years ago that you don't remember until you have all these beautiful trigger points. Like even as each of you are telling your stories, I'm like, oh yeah. Like I didn't remember it like that, or I'd forgotten how that felt, or you know, how it all came to be. And something that I've really been wrestling with, like through deep conversations this week, is with anyone that will listen to me. People are sick of me talking about them. Is what does it mean to me now? And maybe that's a whole different podcast, JD, but this isn't something that ended 10 years ago for me. And when, I don't know how you guys cope, but I go see every possible hip tribute band I can, because they make it alive for me again. They make the music real again, because we love it and we listen to it, and it's our summer barbecues and our road trips and our family get-togethers, and you know, our love, all of those things. But when you see somebody like grooving and giving it live, that's when it's alive for you again. And I mean, that there's a Winnipeg band called the Killer Whale Tank that's amazing. There's a Brandon, Manitoba band called the Incredibly Hip. He dresses like Gord in the final concert, and he looks like him, and he's got my heart. And then I just saw the Hip Experience, who's traveling across Canada right now. If you can see them, go see them. But they keep bringing this music back up and bringing it alive. And I'm so excited because Paul is coming to Winnipeg in August.
Yeah.
He's playing at the Burt Block Party now, so I'm thrilled to be able to see that. But this is music that didn't stop shaping my life 10 years ago.
No.
Like it really keeps coming forward. And all the songs that I didn't know are kind of like a cruise ship. You know, you stop at a port, you kind of find out if you want to go back or not. And now, because you guys all love them so much, I'm like, I want to go back. Like, I want to listen to that more. I want to dive into that and see if it's as meaningful to people that love them as much as I did. Then, you know, maybe I would find some meaning in them. So, what this whole process has just been so wonderful. It's just so wonderful to feel it all again. So yeah. Thanks.
Yeah, I think Dave nailed it when he used the word catharsis. You know, it really is.
I hope that my hope
experience.
As I sat trying to explain my love of this band and my obsession and how it has touched on my professional life and my personal life and all of my personal relationships. And I was sitting this weekend, I was at the Just for Laughs festival, having this very intense conversation about the Tragically Hip during the free Weird Al Yankovic concert.
Oh my God.
With a friend / colleague who is French Canadian, and when I said, "Do you know who they are?" The Tragically Hip, she was like, "Yeah, that's that band that all the Canadians were obsessed about 10 years ago." And it's like, okay, now I got to explain to you a little bit about who I am and contextualize things. And and I alluded to it before, and you guys are my hip family, so I may as well just mention it out loud. I'm writing a book about the hip. Yay. And it's a memoir, and I'm hoping that it will speak to everyone. And I'm in the middle of draft number 2, and I have no idea when it's going to be out. This process is agonizing, but also beautiful. And what my friend said to me was, "Do you think that all of this will give you some closure?" And I don't know if that's not what I'm doing it for.
Yeah.
Right.
But
do we want closure? Like, do we want? Is that the goal?
No, but I want to be able to be happy when I talk about the Tragically Hip, because they brought me so much joy in my life.
So much joy.
And moments like this, I understand that, like, I'm going to be predisposed to be on the verge of sobbing in a moment like this. We're talking about something so heavy, and again, this concert was on the 1-year anniversary of my mom's death, and that I'm not going to hide from that. My mom was super important. My mom took me to see my first ever rock concert. She took me to see the Rolling Stones when I was 9 years old. And after I met the Hip, after I had my first ever sit down in Quebec City with the band, a 90-minute sit down at a restaurant after they finished their concert on the We Are the Same tour. And the next morning, my mom was the only person that I thought to call, because she understood how important it was to me. Mm-hmm. She was the only one who understood when I was like, I feel validated right now. This was a validating moment in my life. So she never saw them, but there was a huge, it didn't feel wrong for me to fly across the country and not be with my family on the 1-year anniversary. Everybody understood that this is as much a part of me as anything else. Mm-hmm. In a lot of ways, I was thankful for the timing on everything, because God knows if this had all happened at the same time, how I would have handled that. Maybe I wouldn't have been able to. So maybe the closure I'm looking for is more to do with my mom than it is to do with the Hip. I don't know, but we'll figure this one all out together.
Not leave anything left.
Your bill is in the mail, Dave. Your bill is in the mail for this therapy session.
You get in line. Get in line. Thankfully, one of the first questions I asked my therapist when I started seeing him in October was, "Are you a Tragically Hip fan?" And he went, "Yeah,
you're not."
And he went, "Yeah, I saw them open for Page and Plant at MSG in '95." And I was like, "Okay, we're set. We're good."
You're legit. You're legit. So let's talk. Please go ahead.
No, I just can I steer this a little bit? Do you think it's a serendipitous occurrence here that the Canada's band, our band, is this 10-year anniversary is happening now when there is such a rush and a surge of Canada really being proud of Canada, whether it's in protest or just celebration? There's and Dave, you wrote about this in your article about that they weren't patriotic. They didn't wrap themselves in any type of a flag, but they wrote songs about Canada, identifiable ones. You knew where the prairie was, and you knew where the stories were happening. You understood that sky. You understood all of it. Like we knew the checkerboard floors. Like it's a Canadian songs, and they make me really proud to be Canadian. And I'm just wondering if this 10-year anniversary is really happening when, we are feeling kind of like this is a good thing. And for however Gord felt about the government at the time and what was happening, I kind of feel like this is this unifying thing right now that, at least for crazy people like us that love the hip before we love anything else, that, maybe it's something that it just reestablishes to me that this is Canada's band and this is Canada's time. And I don't know if it's a political, but maybe it's just all a happy circumstance, happy coincidence.
10 years, it couldn't come at a worse time. So that's,
There we go.
yeah.
My theory on this is that final tour was the last great unifying moment in Canadian history.
I agree with that.
I've been begging for something to happen, and I thought that the pandemic showed moments of it. Personally, so many of those moments revolved around the Tragically Hip. It was Paul going out and singing on Facebook Live.
On his front porch.
It was all of us mourning Jen Casey when she died, the Snowbird pilot, who was a Hip fan and who, in line one of the obituary, was Hip fan. That was, for me, it was everybody getting on their balcony and singing Courage and feeling like we weren't so alone. And that brought back that 2016 moment. But I haven't felt it since. And I, as much as the elbows up stuff felt like it was trending that way, this was different because this was about we were both mourning and celebrating at the same time. And it was Terry Fox and it was Lou Gehrig and it was Elvis Presley. It was love. And it transcended politics. It really did. It transcended sports. CBC cut out of the Olympics for this. I mean, this was our moment. It's staggering. Just from a financial place. That is a staggering thing to think that they stepped away from the Olympics.
Let's get to August 20th in a few minutes. I want to just wrap up with the show. I want to know, Alicia, I want to know when the lights came up and it was over. And for those of you who saw shows after this, try and contextualize it within, the spirit of this show. How long did you sit in your seat? What did you talk about? What were
Alicia was on deadline, JD.
I was on deadline, but I mean, if I can go back, even just because, I managed not to cry until a long time running, and I think that's when everybody lost it.
God.
And then first encore with New Orleans is Sinking, and listening to Gord scream at the end of the song stunned the entire arena. Everyone shut up. I can't remember a time that has ever happened at any concert I've ever been to. He is screaming into the microphone, and it was rage and it was despair. Despite the fact that the whole night had been about love, and I mean he was literally kissing his bandmates, and it was wonderful and beautiful. But that scream, that rage at the end, kind of stunned everybody. And then, we move into the last few songs. We leave with Ahead by a Century, which I mean I've got tattooed on my arm. After when the lights came up, I was on deadline, but I think we all reeled. And there was a lot of this. There was a lot
there still is, man.
Palms into eyes, yes. And then, so, I took the time I could. I kind of caught the eye of the other reviewers, and then we were like, shit, we have to go. I have to go run because I have to write this review before, the paper goes. But yeah, it was, I just remember just a very, an odd mix of both joy and despair. And everybody felt it. And when you talk about unifying moments, Dave, yeah, that's exactly what it was. We all understood in that moment what everyone else was feeling. And that kind of experience that we all shared is something, it's a highlight of my life, despite the rather tragic undertones.
100%. 100%. It was, highlight of my life. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Kim, how about you?
For me, I had the nerves before the show. I was really worried, to see him. I was scared to see that the effects of what he had been through. I had the nerves before the show. For me, it was a little different after the show because I knew I was going to Kingston. So I didn't have that "this is my last time" moment because I knew that was coming.
Yeah.
So Kingston is a whole nother story for me, but I didn't have the sad moments in Winnipeg. For me, it was the build-up before I saw them. I was so scared that he would look frail or that he would just not be gored. But when he stepped out in that green suit and just commanded that stage,
100%.
It ended all of that. All of those nerves that I had before the show, they were gone in the first few notes.
Oh, I guess this was show number 8. So it was pretty clear that it was smooth sailing at this point. But nevertheless, it was top of mind, right? It was top of mind. And, just to respond to something earlier, yes, we didn't get the rants and things like that. But guys, I was so fortunate the other day, and I got invited to Universal Music to hear the live record.
Oh, wow.
On an Atmos system. So it wasn't the entire record. We heard 10 songs. But there was about 25 or 30 of us there. And it was mind-blowing. Anybody, the band was actually
at... Seriously?
The band is peak. And Gord sounded... And they kept a couple flubs in. There's a couple lyric flubs in one of the songs. They're there. And to me, I'm all for it. That's, this is how it should be.
He screwed up all the time before he had brain cancer, too.
Exactly.
That was part of the fun.
Yeah.
It was part of the fun sitting in the crowd and trying to help him get caught up with whatever lyric it was. That was part of the joy was that it was the Tragically Hip live was not, it might have been rehearsed, but you always felt like it was fresh. You always felt like you were flying without a net.
It felt like yours. It was so
yours.
deeply, it's communal, but so deeply personal at the same time. I don't know of anything else in my life that is like that, that I have this deep personal connection to, and yet I feel so communal about. Dave, what was it like when the lights came up for you, my friend?
A fucking party. I was everything, all of the sadness went away. It turned into a party. And what I have these vivid memories of the corridor being so full, trying to leave that arena, everybody piling out onto the streets, and then the hockey rink is in the smack in the middle of downtown, and it's like there isn't 6 inches to move before you're at the next building. It's everything is really jammed in there tight. And I remember stepping outside and smelling weed right away. And I had flown from Calgary and had none on me, which is a rarity for a hip show or for me, period. And just kind of tapping someone on the shoulder and just be like, "I'm from Montreal," and they just they're like, "Here you go, man, join the party." And that was amazing. So thank you to the random Winnipegger that got me stoned after the hip show. And then it was a beeline to the hotel. And there were a lot of people there, and it was a beautiful night at the hotel, and people were happy, and I can picture how happy everybody looked there, how relaxed Johnny Fay looked, how chill Paul was that night. And all I could think was, I can't wait to get back to Montreal tomorrow and start thinking about getting to Toronto for that last run, because this is my favorite drug, and I want to shoot as much of it into my veins as I can in the next 3 weeks.
Yeah, and you did.
I did. And let me tell you something about, oh gosh, I don't know, maybe 6 months later, I'm in Toronto, I'm in Leslieville, Gord's neighborhood, and I'm on Queen Street East.
Riverdale.
Exactly. Stay out, you punks. There was a vernissage for David Bastado's work, the Hip's official concert photographer. And there was a vernissage at a restaurant on Queen Street. And I thought, I'm going to go and check this out. And I walking slowly, deliberately, looking at each of the photographs. And at one point I stop on a photo and it's of Gord looking into a crowd from behind. And you can see 3 sections of the audience staring back at him, and it's just him from behind. And I gasped because I could see myself in the photo. And it was from the Winnipeg show. And there I am, and it's 500 shots. It's each one of those people having their moment with Gord in that moment. And some people are crying, and some people are cheering, and some people have their cell phone over their face blocking it. And thankfully, my phone is above my head. I guess I had the presence of mind in that moment to know that eye contact has always been everything. That's been the amount of times that I have made eye contact with Gord, and it's just been everything, that I didn't want to lose that opportunity in that moment. I wanted him to, if he saw me, I wanted him to know that Dave from Montreal was staring back at him.
And I really feel like he did a lot more eye contact, even more so on this tour. You see him on the stage looking out and just making eye contact. And you
hear Rob Baker in the documentary talk about how Gord needed the fans and how much Gord got from the fans. And back to that thing I told my mom on that drive home from Quebec City in 2009, how validating is that, guys? Right? That we gave him something is just, yes, I'm so happy that I can say that it was not a one-way thing, but it was reciprocal. Reciprocal is a big, big thing for me.
This tour is evidence of that for sure. For sure. I mean, they didn't have to give us this, and they did. Nicole, what was your experience like after the curtain dropped?
They didn't have to give us that, and I was a little worried for them. I'm like, are you sure? Are you sure you got this? And I had like a Terry Fox kind of thing with this, because I was thinking about Terry's parents and his brother that were with him and had to watch him go, no, I want to do this. And he stopped his race in Thunder Bay. So there's a beautiful monument there. You probably drove past it, right, Kim? You saw it when you went by? Yeah. And it was so hard on that family to watch him say, no, I want to do this. And I was thinking about the guys. I was thinking about those 4 other men who love him like a family, who love him like a brother, who every night, because you could see them, they were all dialed in on him. Like they were, are you okay? Is he okay? Is he moving? Is he up? Does he? And my heart was breaking for them, because not only were they watching their brother struggle and not be the person that he had always been for them. Like, in a way, Gord kind of protected all of them from all of it, right? He took all of that and diffused it through him and gave all that energy to them, and it was amazing. But they didn't have to be the guy up there, running the lions. And so for them to have to watch him gradually every night deteriorate a little bit more and a little bit more, but him saying, no, I want to do this. I want to do this. And like, how hard is it to watch someone that you love do something that's so hard on them? It was really challenging. Like, I love the stuff that Rob Baker has done on TikTok with all of the guitar lessons. Like, I love that. I love seeing them talk. I love when Gord gets on and says stuff. They still are giving so much to us all. But are they okay? Like, are they okay? It's been such a hard time for all of us who didn't truly know him the way they did. So that was something that had stayed with me. Leaving there, I felt like you did, Dave. It was a party. First, it was a sit in your seat and just let the emotions wash and exactly wipe all the stuff off your face. And then it was this crazy amount of physical energy that you couldn't get rid of. And we went to a patio bar and that happened to have a DJ. They were not playing the hip, those fools, but like we danced ourselves sweaty and sick and, fell into bed at 3:00 in the morning, which is not something I normally do with my teenage children. And it was just, we had to get all of this energy, all of this emotion. It was so raw, and we really had to work it through that. So I just remember how much fun that was, but it was also just the physical exhaustion of it. Like you were soaking wet hair and wet bra, and like you were just like all in, giving it your best. And it was a really, really magical, special night. Like I don't, it's really hard to put it into words. And anybody that you talk to that was involved in any of it has those little unique moments of memory of it that are so rich. I got married a couple of years ago. I didn't know him when that was happening, but he was there, and his stories of that are incredible. And our love story is about the hip. Like, I'm not going to date you if you don't like the hip, Like, and he actually, it's kind of a connective story. He played in a band called 59 Divide. Darren Sawchuk was a lawyer in Winnipeg who had a record store, and he did a fundraiser the night before the concert because he had the same brain tumor and died from it. So my husband was in that band that played that tribute show, and it's in the book the night before. So everybody has all these beautiful woven connective webs that we all had this shared beautiful experience. So yeah, it was just euphoric.
We're very lucky.
Beautiful. Yeah, absolutely. And I'm glad that you guys all got to take part in this. This is really special. I would be remiss not to have you all in the same room and not ask you about August 20th. Kim, you were there in the second row on August 20th, if I recall.
Amazing.
Talk to me about the experience of August 20th.
That one was a lot heavier. I'll be honest, that was for me the first time I've ever cried at a concert. As soon as the first note for Scared came on, I bawled like a baby and continued all the way through Grace 2. I have a personal connection with Grace 2. That song literally saved my life when it came out in 94. So those two songs, I just literally bawled. I couldn't stop. So that's the only time in my life I've ever say that I cried at a concert. And it was next level crying. It was like blubbering, not pretty, definitely not Hollywood starlet crying. Tears.
Ugly cry.
Yeah,
totally.
Crying through those two songs. But it was powerful, just so grateful to have been there. The energy in the room was next level. I always, at any show, any festival where you kind of walk up, I always end up in front of Rob. And for this show, again, I was in front of Rob. So that made me so happy. It was a full circle moment for sure. I had turned 40. I was turning 40 that year. So Kingston was supposed to be my 40th show. But then I managed to squeeze into Hamilton before that. So I had made myself my own shirts for those 3 shows that I saw on that tour. And on the back of my Kingston one, it said 41 if you include Kingston. So
amazing.
So good.
Alicia from Winnipeg. What did you do? Who were you with on August 20th, 2016?
So on August 20th, 2016, I had a watch party in my basement. And I mean, in Winnipeg, there were watch parties. There was a watch party at Assiniboine Park, where they were projecting it on screen outside. But I had my family and like several of my extended family members, like my she would have been 80, my 80-year-old grandmother, who knew of the hip but didn't know the music, right? But
Right.
she understood. But what I remember most is watching it with my uncle. Now he and I share the same birthday. He actually passed away in January this year of early onset dementia. So he and I were pretty close. And up until the end, even when his memory started to fade, he always knew the hip. And so I got to share, the last hip concert with him. And I mean, I cried a little bit at the Winnipeg concert, but I bawled through the Kingston concert in my basement. I think my kid was scared. I was having like an emotional meltdown. She was 8. She didn't understand really why I was so upset, but it was also beautiful. And so to be able to share that with others who loved them as much as I did was magical. And it goes back to what Dave was saying about connection. And that's the last time that I recall Canada coming together. Yeah, I agree. And, I heard stories from people who are like, we were out at the cottage and I heard the final concert across the water, because it was echoing through the trees.
It's so Canadian.
Streaming. And I mean, this was 10 years ago. Streaming was not that great. So to get any kind of cell signal or, internet signal in the middle of the white shell in rural Manitoba was pretty impossible. So people were huddled around laptops on the dock and you could hear it across the water. So I just, I imagine the Canadiana of that moment. And it was just that shared joy. You can't replicate it.
No, it's church.
It is.
I don't know what else to say.
Yeah.
Dave,
yeah.
You were there as well.
I was there as well, and I know you've invited me to come on the Kingston one, so I won't go too deep on it now.
Sure.
But my sister, man, my best friend, my sister got us those tickets. She called Johnny Fay and said, my brother needs to be there. And he said to her, you're already on the list.
Oh man.
So we sat with their families and friends in the section beside the stage, and Amy and I made a promise to each other. Before we went in, we made a promise to each other, which was that we had cried through the entire province of Ontario. We had not left a dry spot, but we were going to be okay that night because they made it to the finish line.
Yeah.
Right.
So that was a night to be happy. And if I cried, it was masked by the sweat because it was so bloody hot in there.
I bet.
Joseph Boyden, the writer Joseph Boyden, wrote in Maclean's magazine the week afterwards that being in the arena that night was like being inside of a dog's mouth.
Gross.
Yes, but completely accurate. The TV lights in that junior rink, I don't know if they must have had every AC in Kingston pointed towards the stage and all the exhaust put back towards us. I've never been somewhere so hot in my life. So if there were tears, they were, I guess they evaporated or they came out through the pits or something. But no, it felt important to me in that moment to know that they were going to be looking over at our section and that we were going to be having fun. So my last hip concert was pure joy. It was remembering every great moment and sitting beside you being my sister. And that was massive. So I'll cry now instead, but I didn't cry then.
You go right ahead.
Thank you.
Nicole, were you small group, big group? What were you doing?
We were back in Thunder Bay. Back in Thunder Bay. And I was at a watch party at a local downtown bar called The Foundry. And it's in only my middle daughter could come because the drinking age is 19 in Ontario. So the 17-year-old couldn't come. But we had to buy tickets to get in there. And it was... Thunder Bay is not a big place, so you know almost everybody in there. So everybody in there is, loving it, is scream singing every song, is just absolutely drenched with sweat. I remember being so stunned at the difference in him from the beginning of August to then. From the Winnipeg show till that show, just the difference in his frailty really frightened me. I remember being really, really scared and thinking, because when I saw him in Winnipeg, I thought, maybe he's going to be okay. He's going to rally. He's going to fight this thing. And seeing that show made me realize that's probably not what's happening here.
That's how good they were in Winnipeg that night. That's how good they were in Winnipeg.
They were so good. Anyway, I didn't see them all the other time, so I don't have anything to compare them to. But
good too.
It was.
Yeah, Hamilton was good too.
They were on fire that night. Gord was amazing in Hamilton.
Mm-hmm. And the crowd, again, those were the two best crowds.
Mm-hmm. Any place you were, I think, on that last night, if you weren't there, so maybe like Alicia and mine's experience is you were with your nearest and dearest, right? Like you were like, we're doing this and we're getting tickets and we're going to this. And my daughter, Mackenzie, that was with me, she is like my number one hip fan buddy. Like there's not a time that we don't go together, and, we cry like crazy and at a Tragically Hip tribute band at a rib fest, we're like the ones in the crowd that are freaking out, and everyone's sitting in their lawn chairs looking at us, and it was such a terrific experience to have that with her. And amazing. I mean, now she's 30, and so she was 20, like she got it. She was like making her own memories with that music and interpreting it in her life, and it was wonderful to be there. It was so important. It was just so important. And one of the things that she shared with me was everything that she has thought of after that hasn't been about music. It's been about everything that he did after that with The Secret Path, and that she's been really listening to The Secret Path and, the reading of it and everything that he did with his foundation. And one of your panelists on the Vancouver shows had talked about the hat, and how he only wore that hat for a short period of time, but it's become, and I realized that on my fridge, I have a do something magnet of the hat that I look at every single day. So it was pure joy. I agree with you, Dave. It was pure joy. You were around the people that you loved the most, that meant that music meant something to you and them as well. And it was almost enough to last you a lifetime, but not quite.
They made it. They did it. They did it. I mean, how cool is that? That was from the second I got that email in Greece. It was, are they really going to be able to do this? And they did it, and we lived it.
Yeah, pretty lucky, pretty special. And we take a break after this. We take a break and we end up in London in a couple of days. They take an extra day between Winnipeg and London. Mm-hmm. So we will be in London on the 8th of July, 8th of August in 2026. And we'll have a whole new panel talking about a whole new set of experiences on the London show. But before we disappear into the night, I'm wondering if anybody has anything they want to plug. And it could be anything. Alicia.
Sure. So you're talking about, various bands. There have been hip tribute bands. I actually haven't seen any of them here in Winnipeg, although I hear they're fabulous. But I actually, on the weekends, I front a classic rock cover band.
Wicked.
And it is so much fun. My goal is always to go out and scream out these angry girl songs because, I have rage. I need to get it out in a healthy way. But we do a couple of hip songs. I wish I could do more, but I have a very high voice and Gord has a lower voice. We'd have to do a lot of key changes to make it work. But I can do New Orleans is Sinking.
Wow.
And, it's very cathartic at the end, to scream out my rage like Gord screamed his rage in Winnipeg. To get that out. And even though maybe in the song originally it wasn't about rage, it kind of has morphed into that for me, just as a way to scream at the world and the injustice of him being taken away from us so young. but I also really greatly cherish those memories. And in a way, you know, the Hip were not allowed to fade. It was a blazing goodbye of, and I said this before, but it's a blazing goodbye of love. Like, it was just love everywhere. And so I'm really grateful.
What's your band called?
Yeah, what's it called? And do you have presence on YouTube?
I'm in the hood. What's your band called?
So we're called Whoopsie Daisy.
I just did you guys?
Yeah. So it's a lot of fun. And I Nicole, I married a man from Thunder Bay. So
I married a woman from Thunder Bay.
There we go. It all leads back to Thunder Bay.
Wow.
Thunder Bay is the hub. Yeah,
it is.
That's right.
So you're saying if I want to meet a Hip fan, that's where I need to go.
You gotta go.
That's where you need to go.
All right, on it.
Dave, yeah. You didn't stop long enough to pick one up, Kim. You need to stop another day.
Just stay longer, I guess.
My husband plays in a classic rock band here in Winnipeg too, a different one, the Hip one, obviously, when Dave Darren passed away. There's this called Retro Radio, and they play all over the place too. So maybe we'll see each other at a show sometime.
We'll have to like do a joint show or something.
Yes,
that sounds cool.
Awesome.
Look at this community coming together. I love it. I love it. Kim, anything you want to plug?
Nothing really to plug per se, but just this made me think of this special little nugget here.
Oh, wow.
Amazing.
Nice.
Did Karen make that?
This was made by Karen.
Wow.
And so I don't know if you can see.
Oh, the feathers are beautiful.
Yeah.
Wow.
Gotta be
Wicked.
Yes, it's
all of the suits he wore on the final tour. It's a piece of
nice.
leather from each of those.
Cool.
Oh, you're kidding.
That's
That
so
was
special.
That Izzy Camilleri did for Courage for Gord, and they sold keychains of the remnant leather. So I managed to get my hands on all 7, which I saw him wear all 7 because of the 3 shows I went at. And so we cut little pieces of those off and made a patch for a project called Six String Nation. So Karen made a patch that goes on the strap of this guitar. You'll have to look it up sometime. The guitar is called Voyager. It's an incredible story. This guitar was made out of pieces of Canada, basically. I won't go into too much detail about it, but the original patch was made for that, so I got Karen to make me a patch as well. I wore these feathers in my hair at the final concert. And then Karen had a few of these feathers left over when she did Gord's Secret Pass hat. So this is my prized possession.
I guess so.
Yeah, girl. Yeah.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Pretty fucking cool. Dave, my friend, you mentioned something about writing a book.
Yeah. What I'm going to do is I'm not going to tease that yet, because when it is officially announced, there'll be a real announcement. It's with a publishing house and all those real things that are really exciting. But I will tell you, because we're talking about cover bands, I wrote a piece that was really well received last year for the rover.ca. And it was about missing the Tragically Hip and listening to cover bands. And it focuses on a French-Canadian Tragically Hip cover band based in Quebec City, as well as my favorite Tragically Hip cover band, the Strictly Hip, who are in Buffalo, New York. And they come to Toronto a few times a year. They play the Horseshoe. I try to go each time. They do not. Jeremy Hoyle, the lead singer, does not put on a metallic suit. He doesn't try to do any of the. He doesn't feign smoking cigarettes or pretend to paddle a canoe. But he owns it, and he sings the songs with an earnestness and an honesty that gives me faith that the music can continue to be played. And one of the things that I have fallen into since losing the Tragically Hip is the Grateful Dead. And the similarities between the two are shocking. Beyond just he bought 2/5 of lead-free gasoline, said the bottle was dusty, but the engine was clean, versus brown-eyed women and red grenadine, the bottle was dusty, but the engine was clean. But the liquor was clean, pardon me. There's something about the community and about the fans. And I think that it's really well shown with the Dead's music, which only lives on in reinterpretation since Garcia died. There's something similar to the way I think that Canadians have rallied around the Hips music as the way the Deadheads have continued to go back to the Dead, and it allows the music to continue to live on. So I would say go support your local band, whether it's a Tragically Hip cover band or Whoopsie Daisy or really whatever it is. Go feel that feeling, because it might not be the Hip that does it for you. I wasn't a Dead fan when I went to go see Dead and Company in Saratoga in 2023, and then I heard Bob Weir sing "Death Don't Have No Mercy," and that same feeling that the Hip gave me all those years ago came back. And then I looked around and I saw all these fans who had that same love that we do. And I was like, it's not the same, but it's kind of similar. And I can hitch my pony to this for a while and see how it feels. So I'd say just, this isn't the end of music. And I think we all know that. Music lives on, and just keep your ears open, because you never know what's going to inspire you and spark that joy.
Well said.
That's my 2 cents.
And if you want to be part of the community, I've got 2 things to tell you. I've got the shirt that I'm wearing right now. It says Kingston The Gathering on August 20th. Forever Hip is happening by the Tourism Board in Kingston. And I am piggybacking on that weekend with a few different events, a mixer on August 20th. On August 21st, we're doing a listening party, so it'll be your first listen of the new live record that drops that day.
Wicked.
And then there is a brunch on the Sunday on the way out of town. So you get to hang out with Hip fans. You get to do a bunch of Hip things. You're in Kingston. I don't know how life could get much better.
I'm so bummed I'm not going to be there, JD. I know I'm seeing you in Montreal a week before, but I wish I could be there.
I know.
Alicia, we should have drove.
I know.
It's going to be great.
Carpool.
And then I'm going to give you an early bird announcement right now. On October 17th, which is the anniversary of Gord Downey's passing, is an event called GEDfest, Gord Edgar Downey Fest. It has been a thing going on in the West for 9 years. This is the first year it's actually happening in Toronto. It's based out of Calgary. They've raised over $750,000 at this point for various cancer charities. Again, this is the first year in Toronto, and we are doing it at the famous Horseshoe Tavern.
Wow.
October 17th. Grace Sue will be performing. There will be a silent auction. There will be all sorts of really cool stuff. They're raising a heap of money for the Murphy Family Fund for pancreatic cancer and precision oncology and pancreatic cancer and the Campfire Circle. So those are 2 dates to put in your calendar.
Wonderful.
And I hope to see you at both those things. If I don't, we'll talk about it, Thank you guys so much for everything you brought today. I really appreciate it.
This was an absolute
Thank
pleasure.
you all.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you all.
Thanks for keeping it alive.
Yeah, man.
All right, pick up your shit.
Thanks for listening. This has been a presentation of the Tragically Hip podcast series. For more information and to follow us, visit home.tthpods.com. If you'd like to reach JD, send an email to jd@tthpods.com.